The stars outside looked like tiny pinpricks of white against the deep black of space. Inside the horizon, everything was quiet. Too quiet. Captain Jae-sung Park stood on the bridge, his fingers tapping a steady rhythm on the control panel. Something felt different about this mission. "Captain," called out Sarah, the ship's primary sensor officer, "we're picking up an unusual energy signature about 2 million kilometers ahead." Jae-sung leaned forward. The holographic display flickered to life, showing a faint outline of something drifting in the vast emptiness. It wasn't moving like a normal spacecraft. The signal was weak, almost dying. "Bring us closer," he ordered, his voice calm but firm. The horizon glided through space, its massive engines humming softly. As they approached, the strange object became clearer. It was a spacecraft, but not like any they had seen before. Its hull was a mix of metallic and organic-looking materials, with strange curves and patterns that seemed to shift even as they watched. "Damage report," Jae-sung commanded. Dr. Hae-jin Kim, the ship's lead medical officer, studied the readings. Her face was a mix of concern and curiosity. "The ship's hull is badly torn. Multiple breaches. Life support is failing." Lieutenant Woo-jin Lee, the tactical officer, added his observations. "No signs of active weapons. Whoever is inside might not have long." Jae-sung made a quick decision. "Prepare the emergency rescue protocols. We're going to bring that ship into our secondary docking bay." With precision that came from years of training, the Horizon's mechanical arms extended. They carefully caught the damaged spacecraft, pulling it into the massive ship's protective embrace. The docking bay sealed, pressurizing to create a safe environment. Dr. Kim was already moving. She grabbed her emergency medical kit and headed to the docking bay, her team close behind. The airlock opened with a soft hiss, revealing the damaged alien craft. Inside was chaos. Torn metal, flickering lights, and in the middle of it all, a small figure. It was a young girl, but not human. Her skin was a pale blue-gray, with intricate patterns that looked like living tattoos. She was barely breathing, her chest moving in slow, painful movements. Multiple injuries covered her body. Some looked like laser burns, others like deep cuts from metal shrapnel. "She's alive," Dr. Kim said, her voice a mix of surprise and determination. "But just barely." Jae-sung arrived moments later. He looked at the alien girl, seeing something in her that demanded protection. She was so small, so vulnerable. Whatever conflict she had come from, she didn't deserve to die alone in the cold darkness of space. "Get her to medical," he ordered. "And be gentle." As they carefully moved her, the girl's eyes flickered open for just a moment. They were a deep purple, almost luminescent. She looked at Dr. Kim, then at Jae-sung. For a brief second, there was recognition, fear, hope. Then she passed out. The Horizon continued its journey, carrying its unexpected and mysterious passenger. No one on board knew it yet, but this small alien girl would change everything. Sometimes, the universe works in strange ways, and sometimes salvation comes from the most unexpected places. The medical bay was silent except for the soft beeping of machines. Wires and tubes connected the alien girl to various monitoring devices. Dr. Hae-jin Kim watched carefully, her eyes never leaving the strange patient. Suddenly, the ship's alarm system blared to life. Red lights flashed throughout the horizon. "Captain to the bridge." Lieutenant Woo-jin Lee's voice crackled over the intercom. "We have a serious situation." Jae-sung Park rushed from the medical bay, his footsteps quick and precise. The bridge was a scene of controlled chaos. Holographic displays showed multiple objects approaching fast, too fast to be normal spacecraft. "Identify those signals," Jae-sung ordered. Sarah, the sensor officer, worked her controls frantically. "Multiple ships closing in. They're not like anything in our database. Their technology. It's way beyond our current understanding." The holographic display zoomed in. 5 massive ships moved in perfect formation, They were sleek, almost alive-looking, with surfaces that seemed to shift and change. Their design was nothing like human spacecraft, more like living machines than constructed vehicles. "They're heading straight for us," Wu Jin reported. His hand hovered near the weapon controls. "Do we engage?" Jae Sung studied the approaching ships. Something told him this was about more than a simple encounter. "Not yet," he said quietly. "Let's understand what we're dealing with first." In the medical bay, Dr. Kim noticed the alien girl was starting to wake up. Her purple eyes flickered open, filled with fear and confusion. The doctor spoke softly, trying to calm her. "You're safe," Hai-Jin said, though she knew the girl probably couldn't understand her language. To her surprise, the alien girl responded, not with words, but with a series of complex hand movements and soft sounds. A holographic display near her bed suddenly came to life, translating her gestures. "Dominion," the translation read. "They are coming. They will destroy everything." Jae Sung received an urgent message from the medical bay. He listened as Dr. Kim explained the girl's communication. The pieces were starting to come together. The approaching ships were getting closer. Their weapon systems were charging, visible as bright energy built up along their hulls. "Incoming transmission," Sarah announced. A harsh, mechanical voice filled the bridge. "Unidentified vessel. Surrender the target. Resistance is futile." Jae Sung looked at his crew. They were ready. Scared, but ready. "We don't surrender," he said firmly. "Prepare defensive protocols." Wu Jin began charging the Horizon's weapons. They were outgunned, outnumbered, but something burned in the human crew's eyes, a determination that went beyond simple survival. The alien girl in the medical bay watched the monitors. Her eyes showed a mix of hope and terror. These humans didn't know what they were getting into. The Dominion was ruthless. They had destroyed her entire civilization, and now they were coming for her. But the humans were different. They had rescued her when they could have easily ignored the damaged ship. They were preparing to fight when they could have simply surrendered. The first energy weapons from the Dominion ships began to light up the darkness of space. The battle for survival was about to begin. Lieutenant Wu Jin Lee stood by the medical bay door, watching the alien girl carefully. She was different from what he expected. Not scary, just lost. Dr. Hai-Jin Kim worked on translating the girl's communication system. Slowly, they were learning her story. Her name was Area. She came from a civilization of peaceful scientists and diplomats, a civilization that no longer existed. "The Dominion destroys those who do not follow," Area explained through the holographic translator. Her fingers moved quickly, creating complex patterns that the computer translated into words. "My people studied. We learned. We did not want to fight." Jae Sung Park listened carefully. The bridge was quiet, the ship's systems humming softly in the background. Outside, the Dominion ships continued their pursuit, like hungry predators tracking their prey. "Why are they chasing you?" Wu Jin asked. Area's eyes grew sad. The holographic translator showed her response. "I am the last. The very last of my people. They want to make sure no memory remains." The crew exchanged looks. They understood now. This wasn't just a chase. It was a hunt to erase an entire civilization from existence. Sarah, the sensor officer, called out suddenly. "Captain, the Dominion ships are changing formation. They're preparing for a concentrated attack." Wu Jin moved to the weapons controls. The Horizon's defensive systems were good, but not nearly as advanced as the Dominion ships. They were like an old fishing boat facing a fleet of modern warships. Area noticed something. Her fingers moved quickly, creating a complex pattern on the medical bay's holographic display. Technical schematics appeared, showing weak points in the Dominion ship's design. "Their shield system," she explained, "has a central control point. Here." Her finger pointed to a specific location on the schematic. "If you hit this exact spot, the entire shield network will collapse for 3 minutes." Jae Sung studied the information. It was precise, detailed, the kind of knowledge you'd only have if you truly understood the enemy's technology. 3 minutes, Wu Jin said. That's not much time. But it's enough, Jae Sung responded. The first energy weapons from the Dominion ships struck the Horizon's shields. The entire ship shook. Alarms began to sound. But something had changed. The human crew was no longer just defending. They were planning. Arya watched them work. These humans were different. Her people would have calculated, analyzed. These humans were thinking creatively, seeing possibilities where others saw only problems. We're going to need your help, Jae Sung told her. Can you guide us? Arya nodded. For the first time since her rescue, something like hope appeared in her purple eyes. The Horizon prepared for battle, not just a fight for survival, but a fight to protect the last memory of a civilization that had been erased. The Dominion ships closed in. They didn't know it yet, but they were about to meet humans, a species that understood something they never would. The true meaning of survival is not just about staying alive. It's about preserving what matters most. The Horizon shook violently. Energy weapons from the Dominion ships crashed against its shields like angry waves against a rocky shore. Captain Jae Sung Park gripped the command chair, his knuckles turning white. Arya's information better be right, Wu Jin muttered, his fingers flying across the weapon control panel. The alien girl stood beside Dr. Hae-jin Kim, her purple eyes focused on the battle displays. Her small frame seemed to vibrate with tension. Now, she said suddenly, target the third ship from the left. Aim exactly where I showed you. Jae Sung didn't hesitate. Fire. A single precision beam shot out from the Horizon. It was smaller than the massive energy weapons of the Dominion ships, but it hit exactly where Arya had pointed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the third Dominion ship's shields flickered, collapsed, went dark. It worked. Sarah shouted from her sensor station. The Dominion ships were perfect, precise. They moved like a single machine, but they had one fatal flaw. They couldn't adapt quickly. When one ship's shields failed, the others took crucial seconds to adjust. Those seconds were all the Horizon needed. Wu Jin launched a series of rapid-fire missiles. They weren't advanced. They weren't fancy. They were simple human weapons, but they struck with incredible accuracy. The third Dominion ship began to break apart. Impossible, Arya whispered. Her people had always believed the Dominion was unbeatable. Yet here were these humans, doing the impossible. More Dominion ships turned their attention to the Horizon. Their weapons charged. The ship's entire hull began to heat up from the incoming attacks. Divert power to side shields. Jae Sung commanded. Prepare emergency cooling systems. Arya watched in amazement. Her civilization would have calculated, analyzed. These humans were fighting with something else, something she couldn't quite understand. Creativity, courage, the willingness to take impossible risks. One of the Dominion ships moved to flank the Horizon. Wu Jin saw the incoming attack. Most pilots would have tried to dodge. He did something different. He moved directly towards the attacking ship. The Dominion pilot hesitated for a split second. That was enough. The Horizon's weapons struck the enemy ship's most vulnerable point. Another Dominion vessel exploded in the darkness of space. 2 down, Wu Jin said, a small smile on his face. But the battle was far from over. 3 more Dominion ships remained. They were angry now, focused, ready to destroy the humans who had dared to fight back. Arya looked at the human crew. They weren't scared. They were excited. This was going to be interesting. The next wave of attacks was coming. Dr. Hae-jin Kim worked quickly in the medical lab. Around her, equipment blinked and hummed. Her hands moved fast, connecting strange pieces of medical technology in ways they were never meant to be used. This might work, she muttered to herself. Arya watched, fascinated. The human doctor was doing something impossible. She was turning medical equipment into a weapon. The Horizon continued to shake. 2 Dominion ships remained. and they were angry. Their attacks were becoming more desperate, more dangerous. "We're losing shield power," Sarah called from her station. "We can't take many more hits." Captain Jae-sung Park looked at Dr. Kim. "Tell me you have something." Hai-jin smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had just discovered something incredible. "I think I can disable their ships, but it's going to be risky." She explained her plan. The medical scanners could be modified to send out a specific energy pulse. It would target the exact biological frequencies of the Dominion ship's control systems. Essentially, she could send out a signal that would confuse their entire ship's network. "It's like giving their computer system a massive headache," she said. Woo Jin looked skeptical. "Will it work?" "Maybe," Hai-jin responded, "but we only get one chance." Arya stepped forward. Her fingers moved across the holographic display, showing additional information. The Dominion ships had a central control system that connected all their critical functions. If they could disrupt that system, even for a few moments, it would leave them vulnerable. "Do it," Jae-sung commanded. Dr. Kim activated her modified medical scanner. The device looked ridiculous. Medical equipment wrapped in extra wiring, with blinking lights added everywhere. It was something no proper scientist would ever create. But these were not proper scientists. These were humans fighting for survival. A pulse of energy burst from the device. It was invisible, silent. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Dominion ships began to wobble. Their perfect formation broke. Their weapons stopped firing. Their shield systems flickered and died. "Now," Woo Jin shouted. The Horizon's weapons struck with perfect precision. 2 more Dominion ships exploded in the darkness of space. Silence fell. Arya looked at the humans. They had done the impossible. They had beaten an enemy that had destroyed her entire civilization. Not with advanced technology, not with perfect planning, but with creativity, with courage, with a willingness to try anything. "We're not done," Jae-sung said quietly. "They'll send more ships." Arya nodded. For the first time since her rescue, she felt something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. The star map glowed softly in the dim light of the Horizon's navigation room. Arya's fingers traced delicate lines across the holographic display, showing a path few had ever seen. "Here," she said, her small finger pointing to a distant cluster of stars. "My people's last sanctuary." Captain Jae-sung Park leaned closer. The location was deep in uncharted space, dangerous, hidden, exactly the kind of place someone would choose to protect something precious. Woo Jin studied the map. It's surrounded by radiation fields, natural shields that would hide any signals. "Not just hide," Arya explained. "Protect." My people were scientists. We understood how to use nature's own systems as defense. Dr. Hai-jin Kim listened carefully. The more they learned about Arya's civilization, the more they realized how much had been lost. An entire culture, an entire way of thinking, reduced to one small survivor. "The Dominion will know about this place," Sarah pointed out from her sensor station, "if it's truly their last target." Arya's eyes grew dark. "They will try to destroy everything, erase all memory, all knowledge." Jae-sung made a decision. "We're going." The crew looked surprised. This was a massive risk. They had just survived a battle. Their ship was damaged. Supplies were low. Going into unknown space seemed crazy. But something burned in the captain's eyes, a determination that went beyond simple mission parameters. "We're not just running," Jae-sung explained. "We're going to save what can be saved." Preparations began quickly. The Horizon's damaged systems were patched. Emergency supplies were gathered. Arya helped, showing them how to modify their equipment to handle the radiation fields. "My people," she said quietly, "always believed in preservation, not just of life, but of knowledge." Woo Jin worked on navigation. The path was complex, dangerous, radiation pockets that could destroy an unprepared ship. gravitational anomalies that could crush them in seconds. But humans are good at finding ways through impossible situations. As they prepared, Arya shared more about the sanctuary. It was more than just a hiding place. It was a massive archive. Scientific research, cultural records, the entire memory of a civilization compressed into a single location. The Dominion wants to erase us, she said. Completely. As if we never existed. The crew understood something important. This was no longer just about saving Arya. This was about saving an entire civilization's legacy. Days passed. The horizon moved carefully through space. Each jump brought them closer to the hidden sanctuary. Each moment was filled with tension. More Dominion ships could appear at any moment. But they would be ready. Arya looked at the human crew. They were different from her people. More chaotic, less calculated, but they had something special. A willingness to fight, to protect, to preserve. The quiet was the first warning. Lieutenant Wu Jin Lee noticed it first. The ship's normal background sounds had changed. Something felt wrong. "Captain," he called out, "we have a problem." Jae-sung Park was on the bridge in seconds. Arya stood nearby, her purple eyes scanning the room carefully. She could feel it too, a tension that didn't belong. Sarah, the sensor officer, worked her controls. Her hands stopped suddenly. "Someone's been accessing our secure communication systems," she said. "Someone from inside the ship." Arya moved closer to the holographic display. Her fingers moved quickly, translating data faster than the ship's computers. "There," she pointed. "Someone is sending our location to the Dominion." The crew went silent. A traitor. On their ship. After everything they had been through. Dr. Hai Jin Kim ran a quick diagnostic. The communication had been carefully hidden. Professional work. Someone who knew exactly how to hide their tracks. "It's coming from the engineering section," Wu Jin reported. Jae-sung made a quick decision. "Seal all secondary sections. No one moves without authorization." Arya watched the humans work. They were different from her own people. Her civilization would have calculated, analyzed. These humans were preparing to fight. The ship's internal security systems began to track the hidden signal. Layer by layer, they stripped away the communications protective coating. A name appeared on the screen. Marcus Chen, their own navigation specialist. Why? Jae-sung wondered out loud. The answer came quickly. Marcus had family on one of the outer colony worlds. The Dominion had been making threats, promises. If he helped them, his family would be safe. Wu Jin prepared to confront the traitor, but Arya stopped him. "Wait," she said. Her fingers moved across the ship's communication systems. "We can use this." Her plan was simple but dangerous. They would let Marcus believe his message had gone through. Make the Dominion think they had won. And then they would set a trap. The next few hours were tense. Marcus thought he was safe. He didn't know the crew was watching his every move. When the Dominion ships appeared, they expected an easy target. They were wrong. The horizon was ready. Arya had used Marcus's own communication systems against him. She had hidden additional defensive protocols, tracking systems, weapon targeting information. The first Dominion ships were destroyed before they could even attack. Marcus realized his mistake too late. The trap was already closing. Arya looked at the human crew. They had turned a potential disaster into a victory. Not with perfect planning, not with advanced technology, but with something more important. Trust, teamwork, the ability to face a problem together. The sanctuary was still waiting. And now, they were closer than ever. The sanctuary looked like nothing special from a distance, just another cluster of rocks floating in the middle of nowhere. But Arya knew better. "We're close," she told Captain Jae-sung Park. The horizon moved carefully. Radiation fields danced around them like invisible walls. Gravitational currents tried to push them off course. But the human crew was ready. Wu Jin's fingers danced across the navigation controls. Adjusting for gravitational drift, he called out. Each movement was precise, calculated. Suddenly, the rocks began to move. They weren't rocks at all. Massive defense systems powered up. Hidden weapons that had been sleeping for years suddenly came to life. The sanctuary was protecting itself. Incoming fire, Sarah shouted from her sensor station. But this was where Aria's knowledge became critical. Her fingers moved across the holographic display, sending out special identification codes. Codes that said, "We are not enemies." The weapon systems hesitated. "Now," Jae-sung commanded. Dr. Hai-Jin Kim activated the special communication device they had prepared. It broadcast a message in the ancient language of Aria's people, a message of preservation, of hope. The defense systems powered down. A massive structure appeared. It was beautiful, not like human buildings, not like Dominion designs. This was something different, part building, part living organism. Technology and nature combined in ways humans had never imagined. "The archive," Aria whispered. But they weren't alone. Dominion ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They had followed the horizon, waited, tracked their every move. "We won't let you destroy this," their lead commander broadcast. Aria stepped forward. "This is not just about my people," she said. "This is about knowledge, about memory." The battle began quickly. The horizon was damaged from previous fights. The Dominion ships were fresh, powerful. But humans are good at impossible things. Wu Jin used the sanctuary's own gravitational fields as a weapon. Energy weapons that would normally destroy a ship suddenly curved, missed their targets. Dr. Kim's modified medical scanners found weak points in the Dominion ship systems. Each shot was precise, calculated. Jae-sung's leadership kept everyone focused, calm. Even when things looked impossible, one by one, the Dominion ships fell. The last ship tried to launch a final attack, a weapon that would destroy everything. Aria did something unexpected. She used the sanctuary's own systems, redirected the attack, turned the Dominion's greatest weapon against them. Silence fell. The sanctuary remained, untouched, protected. Aria looked at the human crew. They had done the impossible, saved something that was about to be lost forever. "We did it," Jae-sung said quietly. But they all knew the truth. Their journey was far from over. The sanctuary was different now, no longer just a hidden archive. It was alive with new possibility. Aria stood in the central chamber, her small fingers tracing the holographic displays. Around her, the human crew worked to restore and preserve the incredible technology of her lost civilization. Captain Jae-sung Park watched her carefully. She was no longer just a refugee. She was hope itself. "How much can we save?" he asked Dr. Hai-Jin Kim. The doctor smiled. "More than we thought possible. Aria's knowledge combined with our technology. It's incredible." Lieutenant Wu Jin Lee was busy mapping the sanctuary systems. Each room was a treasure. Scientific records, cultural memories, technologies that could change everything humanity knew about the universe. The Dominion thought they could erase an entire civilization, Aria said quietly. But they were wrong. The sanctuary was more than just a collection of information. It was alive. Parts of it were part machine, part living organism. Technology and nature merged in ways humans had never imagined. Sarah, the ship's sensor officer, worked on connecting the sanctuary's communication systems. "We can broadcast a message," she said. "Let other lost civilizations know they're not alone." Jae-sung nodded. This was about more than just saving Aria's people's memory. This was about showing that hope could survive, that life could continue even after terrible loss. Days turned into weeks. The horizon became more than just a spaceship. It was now part of something bigger. A rescue mission. A preservation mission. Aria learned about human culture. The crew learned about her people's incredible scientific discoveries. They shared stories, memories, hope. The sanctuary began to heal. Its systems came back to life. Slowly, carefully. What happens now? Wu Jin asked one evening. Arya looked out at the stars. "We remember," she said. "We rebuild. We continue." The human crew had done something impossible. They had saved more than just a single life. They had saved an entire civilization's legacy. No one knew what would come next. The Dominion might return. Other threats might emerge. But they were ready. Jae-sung looked at his crew. At Arya. They were different. A mix of human determination and alien wisdom. Something new. Something powerful. "We're not just survivors," he said. "We're guardians now." Arya smiled. It was a human smile. But her eyes still held the memory of her own people. Purple. Bright. Full of hope. The horizon continued its journey. But now, it carried something more important than any weapon or technology. A promise. That no civilization would be forgotten. That hope could survive anything. Even the darkest of spaces.